The Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, opened their Wubble and dedicated their 2020 season in honor of Breonna Taylor, a Black woman and emergency medical technician who was murdered by police in her bed while she slept. The move was not surprising given the long history of WNBA athletes who are predominantly Black women and their engagement in activism, which is like beautiful to me. I read this, I'm like, oh my God, this is, and it says, the players have historically been some of the primary activists for social issues, oftentimes without much support, job security, and our proper credit given. Unfortunately, this lack of acknowledgement is nothing new for Black women and non-binary folks in sport. The history of women's sports has typically focused on white women, and the history of racialized sport and athletic activism has focused on Black men. The current body of work aims to centralize the efforts of Black women and non-binary athletes along the lines of activism to explain why they have been historically erased and to ensure that their erasure is no longer allowed. I know that's a lot. However, I feel like between, your creation of this beautiful role, at Liberty, your involvement in the creation of Ellie the Elephant, which is an incredibly powerful, positive, energetic mascot, which in my opinion, by the way, combines dance, fashion, music, and all the things. I'm just really curious, what you think about what I just read there, without getting, this could be a much longer conversation.
Yeah.
How this applies to what you're trying to do at Liberty, right? Or what you've accomplished at Liberty.
It's a great representation of why I show up every day and why I'm here. I think, in 2016, the Liberty were a part of a league-wide media boycott in response to the unjust killings of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling. And when they decided that they were going to wear Black Lives Matters t-shirts in place of their shooting shirts or their warm-up shirts, the league initially fined them for that. And later the fine was rescinded, but at this time I wasn't working for the team. I was working for myself, and I was like covering it, I wrote about it. And I remember how outraged I was that the league would fine them for that instead of applauding them for using their platform. And especially at a time where Black male athletes weren't as vocal as women athletes were, Black women athletes are, and they have a lot more to lose. Like, they're sacrificing a lot more to make a statement. And there's a lot of pride in that for me. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to take this job to begin with, because I had such a tremendous amount of respect for these women. But I also wanted to be a part of the solution for creating more opportunity for them as well, giving rise to their voice, growing their platforms, amplifying, their amazing athleticism, but also issues that matter to them. And the Liberty is an organization that, while that initial media boycott took place in 2016, as an organization, it said, this is important. We need to annualize this. And this isn't going to be a one and done thing for us. We're going to dedicate at least one of our games every season to these types of social causes, these racial injustice causes, and raise awareness. And I love that. That matters to me. And we've doubled down on that year over year over year. And so now I'm here and I'm in that role of saying, okay, what is this year's theme going to be? What can we do to continue to raise awareness around this?